Right, hello guys and welcome back to Thai Talk with Dan. I'm trying to get through this epically long Thailand story. This has to be the most insane story I have ever read out on this channel. I thought my life were bad. I thought other people's lives were bad when they got involved with Thai women and got totally rinsed dry. But this guy is like a human punching bag. And his story is getting even crazier. So get ready for this next part of this insane guy's life with his Thai wife and his poor 2 children. Now, not long after this, Nong received a message which read, "I want my $100,000 back, BITCH." I knew about this because all messages Nong received were sent also to my phone via the spyware. I messaged the sender saying, "Who are you and why are you calling my wife a BITCH?" She replied, "Your wife secretly married my husband in a big ceremony in her village and all her family and friends know about it, but they are not telling you. She got $100,000 from my husband and I want it back." So I informed her that I already knew about the wedding and asked if she'd like me to send her the pictures, and she didn't reply. Now, was it possible that Nong had really got $100,000 as a dowry for marrying this guy and had used it to buy the house? I needed to see the documents proving the house was ours, so I asked Nong for proof. She was evasive and no documents were ever forthcoming. I was 90% sure that the house was not really ours, but Nong did provide me with documents showing she had taken out life insurance in Chiang Mai for £200,000 in case anything happened to her. She also gave me her will, including land registry numbers of land that she owned. I felt a little more secure with these. Now, after we'd been in Chiang Mai for a fortnight, Nong had to leave us for a while. She said she had to fly to Songkhla to bring back the body of the dead crew member. She didn't want us to go to Chiang Mai airport to say goodbye. I could track her location with the spyware. So that evening, when she said she had arrived in Songkhla, I knew she was still in Chiang Mai. I was tempted to go to her location and confront her, but I didn't want to take the children or leave them alone. However, I was so annoyed that I couldn't stop myself from calling her and telling her I knew that she was still in Chiang Mai. Then she twigged that I could track her phone, so she switched off location tracking. The spyware was soon gone too. She probably enlisted a friend to help with its removal. I should have played it cooler, but by now, my mind was a mess. Now, life in the gated community was good. The houses were occupied by either well-to-do Thai families or Western expats with their Thai wives. Every evening, residents of the community would gather around a small lake in the centre to drink and socialise. I quickly made friends with 2 expats, in particular, Lawrence from South Africa and Dan from Southeast England. I enjoyed being a stay-at-home husband looking after the children. They were picked up and taken to school by a minibus. We were furthest from the school on the minibus route, meaning the children were picked up at 6 a.m. and arrived home again at 5 p.m. A very long day for them, but they never complained. So after the children had left for school, I'd go train in Tai Chi with Ellis. He now had a new house built further from Chiang Mai on a sizable plot with a lake and lots of trees. It was exactly the sort of place I'd wanted for my family. Now Dan's young daughter also attended Sarasas Witayad school, and he took her and brought her back in his car. With a more direct route, he could set off later and return earlier than the minibus. I offered to pay him to take my children to school too, but he wouldn't do it. He never was one for doing favours. He complained constantly about his Thai wife, who spent all day inside on social media and wouldn't go out anywhere. I never even saw her once. They divorced a few years later, and Dan returned to the UK with his daughter to rebuild his life. Lawrence was married to a Thai woman who worked in a government job. They had a son who was friends with Luke. Their relationship was much more stable. He had a hobby making and flying large-scale model aircraft. I went with him once to his club, but it wasn't for me. I tell him all the stories Nong told me, and he told me I should keep a diary of her tales, and I wished I had listened to him. So, to give me something to do whilst the children were at school, I registered for Thai language classes at Chiang Mai YMCA. My spoken Thai got better, and I learned to read and write a little in Thai too. I made one good friend there called Neil. He was about my age and from my part of the UK. He'd opened up a legit Thai massage parlour with his Thai girlfriend, and he was careful with his money and lived within his means. Now, I never looked for any kind of work. This was at a time when digital nomads were yet to be a thing. Being mathematically inclined, I tried my hand at online poker. After many hours of play, all I had done was break even, so I gave it up as a waste of time. So, my life in Chiang Mai was fine. Nong was with us about half the time. The rest of the time, she still maintained she was sailing on her oil ship. Occasionally, when she was away, she would transfer money to my bank account, but it was never enough to cover all of our expenses. The money in my bank account gradually went down, which was a major concern. Even when Nong was away, I had no interest in being unfaithful to her. It was many months before I went into Chiang Mai on an evening. So one of my tasks was upkeep of the garden. Nong had kindly bought me a pair of shears to cut the lawn. Anyone who knows how quickly things grow in Thailand will appreciate how inadequate these were. As a token effort at self-sufficiency, I planted fruit trees throughout the garden. When we moved in, there were rows of palm trees lining the drive. For me, these lacked utility as they did not bear fruit. I asked Nong if the house was definitely ours so I could cut them down, and Nong assured me the house was ours and it would be fine to cut them down, so I did. Now, I had no interest in going to Prey City, but once Noi, Tid and their two boys did come to stay with us, I was pleased to see the Toyota Hilux was gone, replaced by a battered old pickup. I kept guppies in 2 stone basins either side of our drive. Tid managed to knock one over as he reversed into the drive. Everyone thought it was funny as I scrambled around frantically to rescue the fish. Only Lawrence's son, who was around at the time, tried to help me. I couldn't wait for Noi and her family to leave again. Now, around July, Nong went away for about a month. She said her ship was sailing to Houston, USA. Sometimes she'd call and give me updates of where the ship had docked. The route was, to say the least, rather indirect. I asked one time if she'd docked in Moscow yet. She replied they'd already docked there previously. Now, when Nong returned, I looked at her passport. I found out that while she really had been to the USA, she'd arrived in Houston only a few days after leaving us in Chiang Mai, meaning she could only have flown there. I managed to get a look at her phone and found messages from which it was clear that she had been involved in recruiting girls in Thailand and flying them over to work in the aerobics trade in America. How did I feel living off immoral earnings? I didn't care if it meant I could stay with my family in Thailand. With the inadequate amount of money I received from Nong, this was looking increasingly unlikely. I didn't challenge Nong about the dates in her passport or messages on her phone. Now, by autumn 2012, I was starting to get a bit bored and thought about going to the bars of Loy Crow, but I didn't want to drink. I asked Ellis if he knew of any drugs that were good for socializing, and he recommended ecstasy. I did something very stupid and ordered a gram of it off the dark web. Why was this stupid? Well, it was that if this had been discovered by the Thai Postal Service, I could have ended up in a Thai prison where I probably wouldn't last a week. I was fortunate. The drugs arrived undiscovered. I tried it one time at home to see what the effects were. It was amazing. Biggest problem was the next day I had brain zaps, little electric shocks going off constantly in my brain. These took 6 weeks to subside to zero. I doubted I'd risk taking it again, but I didn't throw the rest away. So, we spent Christmas of 2012 together as a family in Chiang Mai. During this time, Nong said she wanted to sell our house and rent an apartment in Chiang Mai instead. We found a very nice apartment in one of the most expensive condominiums in Chiang Mai. The problem was Nong wanted me to pay the deposit and the first month's rent. She said she had $10,000 on her boat, which she would send to me early in the new year. So I said, no. I refused to pay for the apartment until I first received the money from her or our house sale went through. My financial situation was fairly dire by now, having only about 500,000 baht left in my Thai bank account. Now, early in the new year, Nong left to return to her boat, promising to send me the $10,000 in a few days' time. However, once she'd left, she'd become uncontactable, just like she had 2 years earlier. A few days after she'd gone, the doorbell to our house rang. When I went outside, there was a smartly dressed Thai man at the gate, accompanied by a Thai police officer. The man said the house was his and the rent had not been paid for a month. Either I paid him 2 months' rent for the month owed and the next month to the end of the contract, or we got out that day. I knew then the game was up and my Thai dream was over. So I told him I didn't have the money then, but I would pay it in the evening after I'd been to my bank in Chiang Mai to withdraw it. I felt I had no choice. All our possessions would need packing and sending to the UK. I also wanted the children to complete the Thai school year, which was about 2 months from its end. Now that evening, I paid the rent. I spoke to Lawrence later about what had happened. He said we could have moved all of our things to his house and stayed in his spare room instead, but it was too late. I bought a month's breathing space. During this month, I packed and sent all of our things back to my mother's house in the UK. When I'd done this 2 years earlier, many things had been left at Noi's house because I still believed Nong when she'd said she would be able to sort everything out. This time, I knew there would be no returning to Thailand, so everything had to go. right down to Luke's new BMX bike that I had bought him for Christmas. One day, I flew to Bangkok and back, leaving my children in the care of Lawrence. I did this so I could go to the Police Clearance Service Centre in Bangkok and submit an application for a Thai certificate of good conduct. At least then, I would be able to apply for a private hire licence when I got back to the UK. I planned to spend a day in Bangkok before catching our flight home so that I could pick up the certificate. Now, one thing Lawrence had said to me at that time when I was telling him how I had lost everything was, no, you still have your children, and that is 90% of everything, and that really stuck with me. So in a month's time, we left the house. The deposit that I'd been promised would be returned wasn't returned. I knew it wouldn't be. The excuse, I'd cut down all the palm trees either side of the drive. The fact I planted more expensive trees around the garden counted for nothing. We spent our final month in a cheap apartment in the centre of Chiang Mai. I'd take the children to school on the motorbike and pick them up in the evening. I took Nong's life insurance documents to the bank to see if they were genuine. They were worthless. Nong had paid the first instalment but not made any payments after that. The security I thought we had did not exist. I was in touch with Nong's friend Nok, who was sorry for what Nong had done to us. Nok took me to the Chiang Mai land registry to check on the land Nong said she had bought. It turned out the land registry numbers she had written in her will were totally fictitious. Now, during this time, my mother messaged me to say she had found a new man called John. Quick work, as it was only a little over a year since my first stepfather had died. She was planning on selling her bungalow to move in with her new partner, saying she would give half of the proceeds of the sale to each of me and my brother. I asked her to wait until we got back, otherwise we would have nowhere to live. My brother was encouraging her to sell quickly because he wanted his half of the money. Me and my children be damned. My mother took my side and agreed not to sell until we were sorted. I've not seen or spoken to my brother since. Those final 2 months, I did start looking to have fun with Thai girls again. I'd never been unfaithful to Nong before, but given how she had abandoned us for the second time, I no longer felt guilt at chasing other women. However, I lacked the confidence I'd had when I was younger. A couple of times I got drunk, and on one of those occasions chased a pretty Loi Crow bar owner named Sai, but I didn't get far. Hopeless case that I now was. Early in the evening, I'd often take the children to the bars to play pool before taking them back to the hotel and returning to the bars alone. The children were only 10 and 7 at the time, so I wasn't being a great parent leaving them alone in the apartment. So I decided I'd try a night around the bars of Loi Crow after taking a tablet. You remember the ones that I still had? Prior to taking it, I talked a bit with Sai and asked if she wanted to take it with me, but she said no. So I went to the toilets to take it by myself. I then sat at the bar waiting for the effects to come on, and boy, when that rush came, it really came. 1 minute I was sitting miserable alone at the bar nursing my lemonade. The next I leapt away from the bar and over to Sai. I asked if I could put my arm around her, and she said she'd like it if I did. I talked to her for maybe half an hour, during which time I told her how much I loved her. She knew it was the tablet. But even in my loved up state, I knew Sai was a long shot and I wanted to get laid that night. So I went for a wander around the bars. Wandering around the bars full of pretty girls that evening with serotonin at record levels, I felt happier than I had ever felt in my life, all the while knowing it couldn't last. In one bar, I bought a girl a drink and became fascinated by her hair, which I couldn't stop touching. She must have thought I was very strange. Eventually, I went back to Sai's bar. There was a girl working there who had caught my eye, even as I'd been talking to Sai earlier. The other girl saw me looking at her and came and danced provocatively in front of me before sitting on my lap. She was soon on the back of my motorbike as we cruised through the neon-lit streets to Armada Love Hotel in Chiang Mai land. It was an amazing evening. Making love on the tablet was a great experience, and I was sensitive to all the needs of my partner. I thought I was the world's greatest lover. Now, the next day, I went back to Sai's bar to see this girl again. I asked what she remembered about the night before, thinking she must have been impressed by my performance. She said she'd been drunk and couldn't remember anything. Back down to earth with a bang, I took her back to the Love Hotel, with her sober this time around and with me still feeling some afterglow. She at least admitted I was quite the expert. So, 2 nights later, I was out with Neil, the friend I'd made while studying Thai language at the YMCA. He took me to a bar on Loy Crow that he knew. There was a pretty girl there who I asked Neil about. He said she was one of the 3 sisters who worked there. Once he'd gone to a nightclub with all 3 of them and spent a lot on drinks, but none of them would leave with him. My confidence was high once more, so despite suffering from a chemical come down, I took this as a challenge. 5 minutes later, I gave my apologies to Neil and was on my way to the Love Hotel again. So I booked the room with the mirrored walls and ceiling so I could enjoy the view from multiple angles. It was a great view. I hung around with this girl the next 2 evenings, playing pool and going to the cinema. And these were my final 2 evenings in Chiang Mai. So, the day before our flight to the UK, we flew early to Bangkok. I had booked a hotel close to the airport, and after we checked in, we left our belongings and headed to the centre. First port of call was the Police Clearance Service Centre to pick up my completed certificate of good conduct. Then we spent the afternoon in Lumpini Park. I got tired and wanted to take a nap. The children had no wish to sleep, so I told them not to wander off and stay within eyeshot. Now I was woken up by a monitor lizard tasting my bare feet. When I looked around, the children were nowhere to be seen. I panicked. For the first time, I understood what Lawrence meant when he said that if I still had the children, I had 90% of everything. I had visions of the children being kidnapped and sold. I thought my best bet was to stay, but in case they returned, rather than go looking for them in what is a very large park. Much to my relief, they returned with ice creams 10 minutes later. So that final night in Thailand, I decided to have a final blowout in Sukhumvit. I went there, took a tablet in the toilets of Robinson's and waited for it to take effect while sat on some steps. My tolerance had already built up and I barely felt anything. I went back to the toilets and took all of them that I had left. 30 minutes later, I was high once more. I wandered into Ferme coffee shop. The girls there are pretty, but with what I had taken, they were all 10 out of 10s. Now, with my current state, there is no being shy. So I went up to a couple of the girls and asked how much. 3,000 baht seemed to be the going rate. But that wasn't what I was about this night. I wanted to go to Soy Cowboy to watch the girls dancing. No idea what go-go bar I ended up in, but it was fun. I asked one dancer if she wanted a drink and she declined. I didn't care at all and asked another girl who accepted. The girl's name was Tanqua, and I spent the whole evening talking to her and watching her dance. She was a student at one of Bangkok's prestigious universities, and she was as beautiful as anyone that I had ever seen. When Tanqua left me to get changed to go dancing again, the other girls would tell me to forget her because she never went with customers and told me I should go with one of them instead. I declined. I was happy to just sit and talk with Tanqua. And Tanqua thought I was so nice because whilst in my state, I really was. At the end of the night, we exchanged Facebook IDs and kissed. She put me in a taxi to go back to my hotel. She was afraid I might be waylaid by other girls. We kept in touch for a while after I returned to the UK, and sometimes she would ask me to go to Thailand to see her again, but it was unrealistic. A girl like that was out of my league, even if I were the same age as her. Before I could ever think about returning to Thailand chasing some fantasy, I needed to sort out my life in the UK. Now, just in case I am encouraging anybody to take tablets with my descriptions of 2 fun nights out in Thailand, I would like to say that I would never take it again. I did take it a few times in the UK and at first had some good times. But the more times you take it, the less pleasurable the highs become and the harsher the come downs. The last time I took it, I didn't feel good at all, and 2 days later, I cried inconsolably. For this reason, nobody takes it more than 20 times. But wow, those 2 nights I had enjoying the Thai nightlife were amazing. So, I was a little concerned that I would have problems exiting Thailand with the children. I'd read that because the children would be leaving on their Thai passports, I could be stopped from leaving with them unless I had a note from my wife giving her permission. Obviously, I could not get such a note because I had no idea where Nong was. While still in Chiang Mai, Pensri had forged a note with Nong's signature for me. We sailed straight through customs and the note was not even needed. So, we arrived in the UK in early March 2013. I was even more depressed than when I had returned to the UK 2 years before. This time, I knew we had no chance to make a life in Thailand, and I wasn't sure if I would ever see Nong again. For the time being, we had my mother's bungalow to live in, and we had it to ourselves because my mother was already living with her future husband, and their wedding was planned for May. So now that I had no hope of living in Thailand, I needed a job in the UK. It took me only 3 weeks to find one, albeit it was a minimum wage 0 hours contract job that I hated. Armed with my Thai certificate of good conduct, I started my application for a private hire license. Due to lack of preparation, I failed the local knowledge test the first time. After this, I spent 3 weeks researching every pub, hotel, restaurant and school in my city. I passed the second time and had the license by August. Now, for various reasons, I didn't make use of it for a few months. Now, buying tablets on the dark web whilst I was in Thailand had introduced me to Bitcoin, convinced that the price of Bitcoin could skyrocket. I bought 200 of them with almost all the money I had left, knowing little about Bitcoin wallets. I left them on the MT Gox exchange where I bought them. It was a crazy ride owning Bitcoin in those days, as the price fluctuated wildly on a daily basis. Afraid that I would lose everything, I sold half the Bitcoin when the price had doubled, so at least I was guaranteed not to lose everything. Now, Nong got back in touch via email at the end of March, and it read like this. To Darling, I'm very sorry for everything I do for you. I hope everyone okay. I'm very miss you all. I want to return back to see you and kids, but I'm so bad mother and wife. Now I only to waiting for get money to buy and give everything back to you and kids. Get too much, more working, I know. Not too long time for me from now, I promise. And I swear, if I not have enough money to buy house and more money to give for you, I not return back life with you and kids. This is my last choice and my last. It read like an email from a crazy person. I replied, she should just come back and help with the children. I knew if we had to wait until she had enough money to buy a house, we would be waiting forever. Then I received no more emails until one in the middle of May. It was similar to the last message, except she said now she was working in Europe. From the IP address of her emails, I could confirm that she was in a Swiss city called Oberengstringen. I had the crazy idea of going looking for Nong. I suspected she might be working in the aerobics industry, as this was the only possible way she could earn a large amount of money. I emailed my Swiss friend Gino, who I'd met in Chiang Mai way back in 1997. He said there was only one brothel there, but it didn't have any Thai girls working there. So I decided that going looking for Nong would be futile. Right guys, I don't know what to say. I'm absolutely speechless. This story is it's just so insane. I mean, he seems to be losing the plot because of everything that he's been through with this woman. Yeah, he's lost the plot. He's even popping tablets and going wild and being crazy again, falling asleep, leaving the kids in a park, not knowing what the hell's going on. It just seems to be a mess. The house is getting sold soon. She sounds like she's hooked up with another guy or something, and she's just going from guy to guy to guy, or she's traveling around with a guy. I have no idea, but I feel like she's living two lives, obviously. But I think she might have a family with somebody else. I really don't know. This story is just so insane. And guys, I was hoping to get it finished, but it's still not finished yet. But we're going to get there very, very soon, because there's a lot more that I want to share on the channel. And I feel absolutely exhausted with this guy's story because it's just mental. I mean, there's not many guys. I know there's a lot of simps here in Thailand that'll do anything for a bit of punani. They'll do anything, absolutely anything. I've seen things that guys do with just meeting women for, a short amount of time, but eventually they wake up after a few years at least. They wake up when they're totally rinsed, or they know that the money's just going down and down and down, or they've found proof that she's cheated, or that she's trying to monkey branch onto another guy or whatever. It just never ever seems to work out in this day and age. Times have changed, and there's a lot that I'm going to share when I get back to the UK, guys. A lot. I just feel worried to be super honest about a lot of things while I'm still here in Thailand. But yeah, those days will come pretty soon, because I will be going back home soon. But we'll get this guy's story finished as soon as humanly possible. Otherwise, my head is going to fall off. Take it easy, guys. Look after yourselves, and don't be a simp in Thailand. Please, you will destroy your life. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.